This video is about how to make a rhinestone template using Inkscape, which is a free software for vectors. So let's go ahead. Today we're going to be doing a monogram, which is a grouping of 3 letters. So let's go ahead and click on our text tool over here on the left-hand side and click in the middle here, and let's just do all C's. So hold in your shift. Well, first let's talk about the text. So we're going to be using this heart text, which I just bought from this website called SVG Cut Studio. It's their true type monogram font bundle. And we're going to be using this heart one here. I have never worked with these before, but it looks kind of cool. Let's go ahead and go back into our Inkscape program. So over here, our heart left is selected. So we're going to be doing our left letter. This only works with capital letters. So either use your caps lock or your shift button and hit the letter C. There we go. And I'm actually going to go ahead and just type out my 3 C's like that. And let's zoom in. Oh, I have to get out of there to zoom by hitting the plus key here so that you guys can see a little bit better like that. Great, nice and big there. Okay, so let's go ahead and double click back to get into our text again and go ahead and highlight this middle letter right here. Oh, it's not working. Have to click that, then double click. There we go. I don't know why that wasn't working. Anyway, so then we'll click back on this and go to heart mid. That's going to be our middle letter. And then click that. And we're going to do heart right. So now we have the image that we are going to turn into a rhinestone template here. Right now it's just text, so we need to convert it into a path. So let's go ahead and click on it with our box and then go to path, object to path, like that, and that just gives us a group of 3 objects. So we want to make it one combined object, so let's right click, go to ungroup. So now we have our 3 separate objects. We want to make them one. We'll go to path and combine. So now we have one combined object of 44 nodes like that. And so it's really important to have the size that you want your rhinestones template to turn out to, because even though this is a vector and you can scale it, if you do, the little circles that we're going to make will change size, and we want those to stay the size that our rhinestones are. So we want this to be the proper size before we do that. So let's click up here and go to inches. I want this to be 3.5 inches wide for what I would be using it for, and I want to make sure that's clicked on locked so that it's proportionally sizes the height with it, and we'll just hit enter like that. Great, I'll hit minus to zoom back out there. All right, and so now we are going to go ahead and make the rhinestone template. So first we'll go over here and click on our rectangle, and we are just going to make a rectangle shape that will cover the entire image like that. Let's change the color so that it contrasts it. Right now it's on the top, so let's go to object and lower it to the bottom like that. Now we are going to make a circle. This is going to be our rhinestones. So hit Control and Shift and then just make a small circle. That will make this circle a perfect circle if you hit the Control and Shift button. And then let's go up here and size it to the size that we want. So actually we want it to be on millimeters. So the rhinestones that we're going to use are going to be 3 millimeters or the 10SS size, which is probably the most common sized one. And so we'll go here and we'll type in 3.2. You don't want to do them right at 3 because if the holes turn out to be too small, then it won't work. You won't be able to get your rhinestones to fall into it. So let's do them just a tiny bit bigger than our rhinestones. Hit 3.2. Make sure our lock is on so that it sizes proportionally like that. So here we have a 3.2 by 3.2 circle. Let's go ahead and change the color of it so that you can see when I drag it over here, you'll be able to see it. So this circle, we're going to position it on our rectangle here, and you just want it to go past the left-hand side of your image and past the top of it. So it doesn't matter exactly where you put it, it just has to be past those edges. So let's go ahead and leave it right there. Come down to fill, right click, and hit unset fill on it. Next we're going to go to edit, clone, and create cloned tiles. Under this, you want it to be P1 simple translation. Rows and columns depends on the size of the object you're trying to fill. We're going to leave ours at 40 by 40. 40 rows by 40 columns will be plenty to go over this image here. We'll click on Shift under your X column. We are going to go with 40, and under the Y row we're going to go with 40. That is just how far apart these circles are going to be spaced. You can do them a little further apart at 50, you can do them a little closer together. And then we're going to go over here to trace, and we want this trace the drawing under the clones sprayed items to be checked. Under box number 1 we want color, under box number 2 we don't want anything, under box number 3 we want color. And we already selected our rows and columns. So let's go ahead and hit create. This is just going to create a grid of these little circles all the way across and down. So let's just give that a minute to think. There we go. Okay, I'll exit out of there. So now I'll zoom out so you can see. We have all these extra ones. So we are just going to go ahead and put a rectangle, drag a rectangle around the ones we don't need, all the black ones, and hit delete. We'll do the same thing on the bottom and hit delete. Great. Now we're just going to select one of these dots in the color that we're working with here, and we're going to go down to this fill button and right click, and then we are going to copy the color, and then we're going to hit Control and F, which is find. We're going to go under find and paste it like that. We want to search in properties, and we're going to hit find. And that finds all of those dots here. You want to make sure to exit out of there before you hit the delete key, or it will be pretty slow if you leave that box open. So now we're going to hit delete, and it's just going to get rid of all of those extra ones that we don't need back behind our lettering there. You can go ahead and get rid of our original little circle as well. And then you can see all of these kind of extra little dots around here that we don't really need. So let's go ahead and click on these, you know, if they're kind of outside our working area. So we'll just hit Shift and then click all the circles that we don't want to use like that. So I know I'm not going to want these. And we'll see what these look like when I take it off, but probably not going to want that one. And I know we're not going to need any of these in between our letters. So I'll just click on all of those and then hit delete to get rid of them. Then we will try and find our background image. Sometimes it is a trick to find it without clicking on these dots here. There we go, found a spot, drag it away. So you can see here that we have these two letters kind of jumbled up. So let's go ahead and just drag a box around here because we're not going to want any of those, and delete it. And or actually, I probably want to leave that line and get rid of that line. So let's hit Control Z, that undoes our last thing that we just did, and then let's drag a box around that line. Yeah, I think that looks better like that. Okay, so you can play around with these little dots all that you want. If you want to take one and shift it around, if you don't like where it's positioned, hit Control Z if you want to undo it. I think that looks actually pretty decent. I'm not sure about this dot here. I think, yeah, or zoom back in. That's okay. Maybe if we got rid of this dot, that seems to look a little bit better. I feel like if I get rid of that dot, I need to get rid of these ones as well. So I'm gonna hit Shift and those and hit that. So that looks a little better. Then I have a nice straight heart line going down like that. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go ahead and we'll turn this into our template here. So what we need to do is just drag a rectangle around everything and then combine this path. So go to Path and Combine. So it turns it all into one path here. And then next we are going to draw a rectangle that is going to act as our flock material that you're going to use for the actual template. This is the material that your template will be cut onto. So let's drag a rectangle like that. And I want this rectangle, it just has to be bigger than what you're working with. And so let's just make it like 4.75 square like that. I'm gonna have to unlock it because I didn't hit my Control Shift while I did that to make it a perfect square. So I'll just do it manually like that. So now I have my perfect square. Let's change, well, actually we don't have to change color because that's a different color. So let's turn this into an object. So Path, Object to Path, and then we need to lower it to the bottom. So Object, lower to the bottom. And then if we hit Shift and click on our image, then both of them are selected. We can go to Object, Align, and then we can hit Center on vertical axis and center on horizontal axis. That just makes it nice and centered. And then we are going to hit Path Difference, and that just cuts it out. So here is the actual template that your machine is going to cut out. So all your little rhinestones are just going to fall into all of these little holes here. And then if you save it, see how our canvas size right here, we have some of our image off of it. Sometimes when you save it and you have your images off the edge, it'll kind of cut them off. It's kind of a funny thing. So let's go ahead and unclick everything, and then we'll go over to File, Document Properties, Resize Page to Content, and then click Resize Page to Drawing or Selection. So what that does is it just resizes to the selections that we have here. You don't actually need this, but I kind of like to leave it there for the future if I ever need it when I open this again. But you don't want to cut this out. You just want to cut your template out like that. And then we can save it. So go to File, Save As, and I have already saved one. I'm going to title it CCC for Rhinestones and click Save. And replace, and then you have your template ready to go for your vinyl cutter. Hope you've enjoyed and have learned a couple of things. Thanks for watching.